Welcome back to the Golden State with Mates post-game live after the Warriors obliterate the Phoenix Suns at 133-95 at Footprint Center on Tuesday night. Let's hope that we don't have any internet issues or mic issues on this stream. Fingers crossed. I can't guarantee anything, but hopefully we're all good because this is a great game to talk about. As Knox says, a stress-free game, which we love. The Warriors basically had this game in their pocket by halftime, had a 69-43 lead, led by 11 after the opening period. Steph kind of set the tone with 13 first quarter points. As I said, 26 at halftime, was ballooned out to more than 30 by early in the third quarter. And really the biggest aspect, I suppose, from the game is the fact that they were able to rest all their key players basically over the last 15 minutes of the game. Steph played 25 minutes. Pods played 22. Draymond and Jimmy played 20. So really the perfect night for the Warriors. I don't think there was too many or any injury concerns whatsoever. And coming into the second night of a back-to-back against the San Antonio Spurs on Wednesday, being able to rest the key players is potentially going to be a huge aspect for the Warriors, as they now have 3 games remaining in their regular season. The Spurs tomorrow, followed by who do they play after that? The Portland Trail Blazers in Portland, and then finish their season, obviously, with that huge matchup against the Clippers at Chase Center on Sunday. A couple of other huge results in the league, which are probably just as important as the Warriors winning themselves. The Minnesota Timberwolves, one of the shock meltdowns of this season. I was following along. I was watching that game basically for the first 3 quarters. Then I turned it off. I flicked it over. I thought, okay, the Warriors game was basically starting at that point, but I thought to myself, okay, well, they're going to win. They were up 90-70 at the end of the third quarter. Dante DiVincenzo made a 3, I think, 90 seconds in, or 2 minutes into the fourth quarter, which gave them a 95-71 advantage, a 24-point lead. And from that point on, the Milwaukee Bucks outscored them 39-8 to record a 110-103 victory. Just a shock, stunning loss for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who now fall to the 8th seed in the Western Conference. The LA Clippers, they've just recorded a victory over the Spurs, who, of course, the Warriors will face tomorrow. The Memphis Grizzlies accounted for the Charlotte Hornets, which was obviously an expected result. And then, of course, we've got the Denver Nuggets. They didn't play today, but they were perhaps the news of the day, given they've fired Mike Malone as the head coach, and obviously the GM Calvin Booth as well. So Denver, probably the shock news of the day with what they did earlier on. And then as far as the performances go tonight, the Timberwolves and that stunning fourth quarter meltdown, getting outscored 40-13, including 39-8 over the last 10 minutes of the game to lose to the Bucks. So the Warriors retain the 6th seed. I'm still trying to get my head around it. I tweeted it out just before the end of the game here that I thought for a second the Warriors might have actually fallen to 7th with the Timberwolves losing, and the other teams obviously winning, including the Clippers and the Grizzlies. The Nuggets obviously not playing, retained 47-32. So there's currently 4 teams still at a 47-32 record. The Nuggets, they're followed by the Clippers, followed by the Warriors, followed by the Grizzlies. Now, in a result of obviously 3+ teams, 3 or more teams finishing with the same record, it comes down to the winning percentage among those teams, which is why I thought, even though the Warriors had the individual head-to-head record tiebreak over the Grizzlies, that the Grizzlies might have actually been on top. But I looked that up, and they're actually, I think, 2-7 combined against the Nuggets, the Clippers, and the Warriors, which means they are 7th. The Timberwolves, with that stunning loss, obviously back to 8th. The Warriors 6th. Basically the same thing as what I said on Sunday against the Rockets. If the Warriors win out from here, win their last 4 games, and they will get a top 6 seed in the West and potentially even home court advantage. Another result to look at in this in today's slate of games. The LA Lakers losing their second matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder after getting a victory in the first one on Sunday, which means they are now only a loss away from those 4 teams. They're 48-31, I think. So there's still a potential, like the 3 seed is still available. The top 2 is locked up. 9 and 10 are kind of locked up. The Warriors put a dagger in the Suns' chances of their slight chances of getting to the 10th seed. They are now basically out of the mix. So we've got the top 10, we've got the top 2, we've got 9 and 10. Now it's trying to work out 3 through 8 with 3 games remaining. It is as historically tight Western Conference standings as we've ever seen. It's truly unbelievable. And trying to get your head around it, just got to take it by game basis, essentially, but also look at the bigger picture. And as I said, hopefully the Warriors can just win out from here, and from that position, they are definitely guaranteed a top 6 spot. Let's get into some of your comments here. Not too much for me to take away from the game. I think it's hard to read into too much when you've got such a sorry Phoenix team. I mean, come on. What are they doing over there? That is the league's highest payroll, paying $220 plus million for a team that legitimately does not care. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. You can pay as much as you want for players, but if those guys simply do not care and aren't bought in to what the coach is trying to do, then you've got no hope. And that was a sorry performance. They've now lost 7 straight games. I was a bit worried. I thought to myself, oh, okay, well, they've lost 6 straight. They've still got some guys. Like Booker's great, obviously. Beal sucks now, really, but on his day can go off. You know, they've got some. I don't know what's happened to Tyus Jones. I thought Tyus Jones was going to be the signing of the offseason when the Suns got him on a minimum. I thought, wow, they've stolen him, and yet he's now coming off the bench and basically doing nothing for them. I don't know. That team is horrific. I mean, the final 18 minutes of the game, I was not really concerned about the game itself. I was more concerned about whether Grayson Allen was going to injure any of the Warrior players. I didn't want any Golden State players basically going within 10 feet of him, particularly after he fouled Kuminga, and then when Kuminga was in a pretty vulnerable spot, just pushed him to the ground. I feel like that kind of went under the radar, as that was a pretty awful play. I mean, he got a T for it or whatever, but like that had potential to cause damage. Unfortunately, JK got up and was fine, but that was really what I was focused on over the last 18 minutes. I suppose the other aspects, Steph, really good bounce back performance, 25 points in 26 minutes, 9 of 17 shooting, had like 9 rebounds, 6 assists as well. Pods, he's continuing this storyline, rising star potentially for Golden State. He's just been huge over these past, well, really, I suppose, from that game against, who was it, the Spurs? Was it the Spurs where he had 8 threes or whatever it was? Then he had a slightly quieter game, but then obviously huge against the Lakers, Nuggets. Probably Golden State's best in the loss to Houston on Sunday, and then another 22 points in 22 minutes. He's essentially like their second scorer right now behind Steph. Like, you think it's Jimmy, and I suppose Jimmy's still the second offensive star with how much the ball goes through him and stuff like that, and his playmaking. But as far as scoring goes, Pods is like the second guy now for the Warriors, which is impressive and really says something about his future potential, but also might be a slight concern going into the playoffs that you're going to be relying so heavily on a second-year guy. We'll wait and see, but what we're seeing at the moment, he's shooting the ball at an unbelievable level. 7 of 12 today, 4 of 6 from three-point range. Just even some of, like, he had a pull-up baseline jumper where it's like, man, if he's doing more, like, it's more than just catch and shoot stuff. It's more than just like cutting and stuff like that. He's actually creating some stuff for himself. The one in transition where he like decelerated and basically stopped entirely and then pump faked and let 2 Suns defenders go by him before the layup. I was like, man, this guy's crafty. And if we go back to the offseason where we were talking about what Pods could be potentially down the line, I think maybe the closest comparison in terms of like the absolute high end, and I'm not saying he's going to reach this level, but I suppose in terms of play style, I think Jalen Brunson is the kind of trajectory here for Pods. Now, I'm not saying Jalen Brunson's one of the best guards in the league. Potentially, if he didn't get injured, was going to finish all NBA first team. So I'm not saying that Pods is going to reach that level, but lefty, not overly huge nor athletic, but just has craftiness with his footwork. That's kind of the type of player here, if you're Brandon Jemski, you're looking at in terms of Jalen Brunson. Brunson, obviously, even lesser known, I suppose, coming out of the draft than Pods. Pods was 19th. Brunson was like an early second-round pick. So that's the player, I suppose, and what we've been seeing from Pods, not just with his catch-and-shoot stuff, but also some shot creation stuff has been huge. I'm going to get to the comments here in a second. I'm just wanting to get through a few of my own thoughts and comments here first, but the other, I suppose, notable aspect, Trace Jackson-Davis, I thought he was really impressive in his 7 minutes to start the second quarter. Obviously, the Warriors without Quentin Post due to illness in this game, and also Gary Payton II was laid out as well with knee inflammation. So, man, Trace got his opportunity, rare opportunity for him, and I thought he was really, really good. He had 13 points, 8 rebounds, 4 or 5 shooting, got to the free throw line 7 times, made 5, which for him is actually pretty decent. It was a plus 15 in the game, I think, in his 19 minutes. And that stretch in the second quarter, obviously connected on a couple of alley-oop dunks with Steph, which was nice to see. had that huge dunk over Plumlee in the fourth quarter. And I'm not saying that, again, it's hard to make too many rotation calls based on how bad and insipid this performance was from the Suns. So it's hard to read into it too much. But I think there are a few plays there, particularly those alley-oop dunks with Steph, where you've got to think to yourself, okay, there are a couple of plays that Quinton Post, Kevon Looney, like they're just not physically capable of doing that. And so it was a kind of reminder of, hey, this is Trace. This is the athleticism. This is the interior presence that he can kind of provide. Whether that means much moving forward, it's going to be interesting to see what Post's availability and Peyton's availability, for that matter, is like tomorrow against the Spurs, and whether TJD maybe gets another opportunity there. If he can take advantage of that, then who knows? Who knows? It's going to provide some food for thought for Steve, that is for sure. Guy Santos also kind of took advantage of Peyton's absence. Guy only played less than 4 minutes on Sunday against the Rockets. He had a really notable performance in this one off the bench as well. Did a bit of everything. 7 points, 9 rebounds. What do you have? Like 3 assists as well. Just double checking here. Guy Santos, 7 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, a block, plus 15 in his 21 minutes. Trace was only a plus 9. I think I said he was a plus 15 before I got that one wrong, but it was still a good performance nonetheless. All right, sorry, guys. Comments from you guys. Thandex says, Mike Malone fired, something wrong with the Nuggets. Just an absolute shock. I mean, I think a few people have said it today, like after the Luka Doncic trade, there's very little that you can necessarily be shocked about in the NBA. But I think from particularly coming from an Australian perspective, and just to add an Australian taste to this is something, I've kind of always said it, Australian sport is much more conservative than American. And I think you guys that follow American sports might be more used to this kind of stuff. But the Taylor Jenkins stuff and Mike Malone stuff in the last couple of weeks is like truly shocking. There's just no way, AFL is the other sport that I follow hugely, obviously, here in Australia. And you would just never see a coach get fired a week out from, we call it the finals, obviously the playoffs here in the NBA. You just never see an AFL coach get, we have coaches in the AFL, and, if there's any Australians listening to this, but like Luke Beveridge won the flag for the Dogs in 2016. He made the grand final in 2020, but that's all he's done in the past, like 9 years, essentially. Like the Dogs haven't done much otherwise, and he's still coach, and he's been under pressure sometimes, but he's still head coach and he's not going anywhere. And like Simon Goodwin is the other one where the D's won the flag against the Dogs in, 2021, I should say, they did. And the Dogs made the grand final in 2021. But Simon Goodwin coached the D's to a premiership. Fantastic, great. But Melbourne over the last couple of seasons have been goddamn awful. And they've started this year terribly. And yet there's no real talk about him getting the sack too much. Like there's a little bit, but like they are terrible. He probably deserves the sack. And I think the fact that some AFL coaches can last so long in comparison to a guy like Mike Malone, who literally led the Nuggets to a championship less than 2 years ago, and to, this conference semifinals last season. Like my team, calling on the AFL, we won the flag in 2023, same as the Nuggets. We missed finals last season, and we're probably going to make, hopefully make finals this year, but you could just never imagine our coach Craig McRae being fired. Like that's just completely, no one would speak of that, right? Not a possibility whatsoever. And yet it's kind of a similar situation to Mike Malone with the Nuggets. Obviously there's nuances and different stuff involved in this, but man, like just the cutthroat nature of the NBA, I think this just goes to show it. And I think particularly as an Australian, when you compare it to Australian sports, we just do not see this kind of cutthroat nature. Like head coaches in the AFL do get reasonable longevity. Like you can last quite a long time, even with a lack of success. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. And I think there's, good things and bad things to come from like the cutthroat nature. If you look at the Warriors and the fact, Steve's never truly been under pressure, I don't think, throughout his tenure. And I suppose that just comes from the enormous success that he's had. But there's no doubt the Warriors' success has been built on that longevity, on that consistency between having Steve as the head coach for the last decade, between having Steph, Dre, and previously Clay as well as key pillars of the franchise. So, man, it's crazy. It's crazy to see Taylor Jenkins and Mike Malone fired so close to the playoffs. And we'll now have to wait and see what it does for Denver from an on-court standpoint, and whether they can this lights a fire under them and they can respond, or whether or not this is, going to continue going downhill and they're potentially a play-in tournament team if things go wrong here over the next few days for them. Then it says Minnesota with the best choke job and the Lakers lost. Good day. Yeah, Timberwolves. I can't get over that. One of the worst. I saw people like Timberwolves fans saying this is possibly the biggest meltdown in franchise history in a regular season fourth quarter. Like truly astonishing. And then the Lakers looked like they were going to beat the Thunder again. And then Luka got ejected for talking to a fan and trash talking a fan, but the ref thought he was trash talking him, and then he got a second technical and got ejected. And the Thunder basically took control from them. I got a warning last night in Social League basketball for swearing, and I went up to the ref and said, I wasn't saying anything to you. I was just basically frustrated myself. And he was aware of that, fortunately, because if he thought that I was saying it to him, I was probably going to get thrown out or something like that. Fortunately, he's like, yeah, I know you were talking about yourself, but you still can't swear that loudly. I was like, all right, mate, sorry, apologies. We move on. Henry says, funniest thing is seeing Plumlee will never forgive what he did to Steven Adams, to then getting dunked on by Trace with Steph and Jimmy laughing their asses off. It was probably the highlight play for the Warriors, that TJD dunk in the fourth quarter. It gave a little bit of life and energy to a game that was otherwise, that was a pretty boring game, must be said. And that's, it's a great one for the Warriors, absolutely. But from a Phoenix perspective, they are so bad that I just don't know even what we can take from that game, given how terrible they were. Henry says Minnesota and Denver seasons are over. I don't know what to tell you. Not sure I'd say that about the team, but this is a bad loss, and maybe it's one of those ones that does, they look back at it and say that's where their season ended. But they're still a quality team. Denver, I find it difficult to kind of write off Nikola Jokic. I think he's just that good. I think he's the best player in the world, and any team with him scares me. Like it's as simple as that, really. Thenix says, love the hustle from Gee, needs more minutes. Yeah, I think that's potentially like the Trace thing might not be enough for, Steve to reconfigure things where Trace gets minutes, but I think Gee's performance, given he's already been a pretty big factor here over the second half of the season, I think he might be the one where you look at his, less than 4 minutes on Sunday and you think, are we going to see that again? Like, I don't know. It's really tough because you've got some minutes there at kind of forward, 3-4 positions where it's like Gee, Moody, Kuminga, GP2, like those four guys. And you really got to ask yourself, like, who's the best of that quartet? Because like anyone can be the best on any given night. And so for Steve trying to push and pull with, okay, who's playing the best or who are the two best guys out of that quartet? Because like any of them can be the most impactful and valuable player on any given night. Really, there's no guy that stands out to me among that quartet, even though Moses has been a part of a starting lineup that is now 15-1 since the Butler trade, obviously. But even then, it's like, can Gee be a more impactful player than Moses? Yeah, if Moses isn't hitting his shots from deep, absolutely. Kuminga is probably the most talented out of that mix, but you obviously see quite a range between his best and his worst. And then GP2, if he's hitting shots, then yeah, he's, a very valuable player. We've seen that in recent weeks. If he's not, then he becomes a bit of an offensive liability. So yeah, it's really interesting. Henry says Gui Santos is my favorite Brazilian of all time. Probably mine too. I can't think of too many others. I'm not a soccer fan, so Gui Santos probably got to be it. Knox says we in 5th seed right now. And then Thandex says, no, we are 6th, Clippers 5th. Yeah, the Clippers won against a plucky Spurs team who hopefully the Warriors can take care of tomorrow. Thandex says, Clippers play Houston tomorrow. That's going to be a big one. Fingers crossed. Houston on, a couple of days off here. They haven't played, I think, since Sunday against the Warriors. So fingers crossed they can get the dub. Henry says, yeah, Houston is winning that game. Amen Thompson is unreal. Big performance defensively against Steph on Sunday, and thankfully Steph was able to respond in this game. Then next says Houston also play the Lakers after the Clippers. Hope they put out their best players. That's going to be so. Houston are now locked into the 2nd seed, and this is the issue. And thankfully OKC tried hard today and won against the Lakers, but otherwise it's hard to necessarily be relying upon the Thunder and the Rockets who are kind of locked into their seeds. It's as good as those teams are. It's hard to rely upon them because you just don't know if they're really going to bring it or not, or if they're going to rest a bunch of guys. We'll wait and see. Henry says Grayson always tortures us from 3-2, dirty plays aside. He's kind of, I thought he was good last year, and now he's just kind of a nobody. Like, I don't know, some of their guys, like, again, if the game was played on paper, Phoenix are, like, capable. Obviously, missing KD, that's going to be a huge out for them. We know that. But, like, their roster, I mean, their roster looks good on paper for a reason because they're spending $220 million on it. But, I mean, some of those guys, like, they're just becoming irrelevant, like totally irrelevant. And like Tyus Jones, he was supposed to go to Phoenix to recoup his value and get a big deal elsewhere in free agency. What's he getting now as a free agent? Like he's coming off the bench and playing 15 minutes and going 1 of 5, 2 points, 3 assists, minus 13. Shout out Damian Lee. We saw some Damian Lee hit a couple of threes. His career, you'd think he's in a bit of jeopardy, but fingers crossed he can get another deal somewhere else. Henry says, OMG, the deceleration celebration he had after the double pump fake was hilarious too. Oh my God, he's so confident now. He's always been confident. Now he's just got the game to go with it. Pods, it's been unbelievable. Gianni says the Rockets will rest their best players from now on. They secured the second seed. Not much reason to play necessarily, unless like a man Thompson thinks he's a legitimate. And this is where maybe the award stuff comes into it. Like Shea had 42 today for the Thunder. Maybe it's a case of, okay, he thinks he still needs to play really hard to beat Joker for MVP. Like there's been some Amen Thompson depoy buzz, which I'm not sure about depoy, but can be all NBA first team defense. Yeah, maybe. And therefore, maybe he thinks over these last 3 games, he's got to try and push really hard and play hard, which could obviously work in the Warriors' favor with upcoming games against the Clippers and Lakers. Charlie says Pat Spencer is actually pretty good. He's okay. I think the Warriors should be looking for an upgrade as far as a backup point guard goes in free agency. What's he shooting like? I mean, he shot well today from 3. He hit a couple, didn't he? What was he? 2 of 3, 4 of 6, 10 points, 4 assists, basically was all in the fourth quarter. I mean, the Warriors, a couple of like Knox played well. Jackson Rowe was reasonable. We saw some Braxton Key minutes. I was disappointed we didn't see Taron Armstrong. I know obviously Pat Spencer got those minutes. Would have been nice to see Taron become the first guy from my home state to play in the NBA. That would have been cool. I'm not sure if he was active or not. It says it was a DNP coach's decision. So it sounds like he was active. I suppose there's no reason for the two-way guys not to be active when the Warriors G League season came to an end last week. So, a bit disappointed with that. But otherwise, obviously a perfect game from the Warriors. Henry says, Pat Spencer, the greatest lacrosse player athlete of all time. Don't know what's going on with some of these comments. Logan says that last game versus the Clippers will probably decide where we finish. Absolutely. Let's hope. Hopefully there can be some other results go the Warriors' way in the meantime, and maybe like there's still a chance they could get a top 6 seed if they win 2 of the 3 games. But obviously, you don't want to have to be relying on other results, and fingers crossed they can win all 3 games. The Trailblazers one to me is one where we're not necessarily looking at. Like, I think everyone's kind of fast forwarding to the Clippers matchup at the end, and that's fine. But the Trailblazers are they're decent. They've been very good over the second half of the season. And just checking on the standings right now, they're out of the mix, aren't they? Yeah, they're out of the mix, as are the Suns kind of thing. They're 35 and 44. So does that mean the Trailblazers rest some guys, or are they just going to continue to try to play hard? Because they could be, again, the Warriors should win that game, sure, but Portland kind of been sneaky good over the second half of the season. They have been, and Denny Avdija has been on an absolute tear. Andrew said Damian Lee hits a big 2 to cut the lead down to 38. Suns broadcast anti-memes. One of the greats, that CP3 in the playoff. That was from game 7 of the Mavs Sun series in 2022, wasn't it? FTW Clan asked, what would your preferred first round matchup be now after beating the Lakers and Nuggets, losing to Houston, now Malone being fired? I'd probably want the Lakers. I don't know. I still don't know. There's so many different things. Like, I just don't think the Warriors have a matchup for Jokic necessarily, but then the Nuggets are also in complete turmoil at the moment with the news today and the fact that Jamal Murray is completely questionable for the playoffs. I don't think anyone knows what's going on with him. So Do you want to face the Nuggets? I still, again, as I said before, the Jokic factor to me scares the crap out of me. The Lakers, I feel like the Warriors actually match up better with them now since the trade and the fact that AD is no longer a factor, but then it's still like LeBron and Luka and Reeves has obviously been excellent. So that's still very dangerous. I don't know. It feels like you're going to get one of those two. If you finish top 6, you're probably going to get the Nuggets or the Lakers. Well, actually, the Nuggets could fall into the play-in. I don't know. Give me Memphis still. I think Memphis is a weird one because they looked like they were going to fall off a cliff, right? And I mean, they had that, the Warriors beat them last week, and it looked at that point like they're kind of done. They obviously fired Taylor Jenkins, but they've kind of come back. If they won like 3 games in a row since then or whatever, that'd probably be my team, but I'm not sure how the Warriors. It'd be a case of like the Warriors almost getting up to the 3 seed and then the Grizzlies finishing 6 or something. I just don't think that's going to happen. So to me, I'd be surprised if the Warriors finish top 6. I'd be surprised if they play anyone outside of Denver, and the 2 Los Angeles teams, like the Clippers, are still a potential opponent here, and I don't really want to face them either, given the wood they've had over the Warriors in recent times, including 3 wins earlier in the season. Now, obviously, since the Jimmy Butler trade, Warriors are a different proposition, but Clippers still not particularly a team I want to face, particularly with how they defend Steph. So we saw the Rockets beat the Warriors. I don't know. Like, I feel like all these matchups, I feel the same about. I just feel like, yeah, the Warriors could win that matchup and win that series, but I'm not, I'm not wholeheartedly confident about it. Like, they could easily lose the series as well. Like, all of these matchups, I kind of feel 50-50 about. And so I'm sorry to sit on the fence. It's just literally how I feel. Even like I felt better about the Houston matchup, but then Houston come out and do what they did on Sunday, and that kind of changes my thinking a little bit. I felt like the Lakers was the worst matchup, and then the Warriors went out and beat them at crypto. So I literally don't know. I suppose the ideal scenario would be to stick out of the 4-5 range and then either finish 3rd or 6th and then stay away from the Thunder in the second round. And then maybe you get the Thunder in the West Finals. If you can make it that far, that might be the ideal result. And then whoever you get in the first round is just who you get. I don't know. Just back here to some comments. Logan says, yeah, Trailblazers are sneaky good. Henry says, have you seen the box trailer for Tamani Kamara's defensive highlights? That shit was cold. No, I haven't yet. Have to check it out. He's been, speaking of really good young players picked in the 50s, Tamani Kamara, and the fact that he was part of the Ayton trade as well, that I know Ayton's not very good, but like that Phoenix trade is an absolute disaster. And the fact they got back Nurkic and Allen, wasn't it, essentially, and they gave up. It's funny in a Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, DeAndre Ayton, Tamani Kamara trade, Kamara might be the most valuable of that quartet. It's kind of wild. Logan says, I could see the Warriors getting the 5th and either playing the Clippers or Denver. I don't know what matchup would be better. Oh, you know what? I might take the Nuggets because they've lost 9 of their last 14. The Clippers have won like 18 of 21. The Clippers match up well with the Warriors. I don't know. I might take the Nuggets given the crap that's going down with them at the moment. Charlie says, will the Warriors play hard versus the Trailblazers? You'd like to think so, given they need to win every game. Henry says, Lakers, we're still going to screw us. I'd rather not. I feel like that'd be a long series, Warriors-Lakers. Feel like that's got real 6-7 game potential. A lot of these matchups do, to be honest. Like, I don't know which way they'd go. Logan says, I think the best matchup would be Grizzlies, Clippers, and Minnesota in that order, I think. Yeah. And then, Lakers and Nuggets behind them? Is that what you're saying? I don't know. What I wrote, prefer the Clippers or the Timberwolves? I don't know. This stuff's so wild. Like, all these teams are the standings say it, but all these teams are legitimately the same. Like, they just all are really, really good teams. They have some weaknesses. A couple are in real big turmoil with the Grizzlies and the Nuggets. But in the case of the Nuggets, you still got the best player in the world, so there's always that threat. It's no surprise really that it's this close, because the teams to me are just like the same caliber of teams. Like the standings kind of reflect what it is. It's just super close, and every team can beat everyone on any given night. I think. I don't know. It's crazy. Henry says Denver barbecue chicken nuggies. I think Denver's really poor defense recently would be good for Golden State. I think if the Warriors can come up, that's the one question mark for me. Like I think the Warriors are a very good defense. If Steph has a quiet one, what do the Warriors have offensively? And if you can lock down Steph, what do the Warriors have? Still some question marks on whether Jimmy can become playoff Jimmy. Let's hope he can, but there's concerns on that still. Does Pods just continue this red hot form? Potentially, you're going to have some guys that are going to be left wide open from three to fire away. Draymond, Kuminga, Gee if he's out there. A team's really going to sell out on Post if he's out there. They probably should based on the numbers, but based on the fact that he's a rookie center, young player, inexperienced, maybe they will say, yep, we're going to live with Quentin Post threes. Who knows? So I think the Warrior offense is still the question mark, and therefore if you come up against a defense that's not great like Denver's, then that might be preferable. Henry says, have we beaten the Clippers yet this season? I feel like they might be a tougher matchup in the postseason. No, 3-0 against the Clippers, although that basically all came in the first month of the season, essentially, or first 6 weeks or so. Haven't played them for a while. Then next says, if we can beat the Clippers on Sunday, maybe we have a chance against them. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if any of these like late season games, and obviously they're all being played at playoff intensity. It's going to be interesting to see how much confidence you kind of get from beating the Lakers, beating the Nuggets. If you can beat the Clippers on Sunday, as you said, like how much confidence do you actually take into that? How much do you take into, the postseason if you potentially come up against those teams or one of those teams? Even the Rockets, like, do you lose some confidence based on losing to them on Sunday, or do you actually kind of take something positive from it because you think, okay, we've seen what they can do, now we can adjust and have time and an opportunity to do so? Oh, it's crazy. Then next says also Clippers beat us without Kawhi. True. Knox says updated standing. Clippers up to 4th, Nuggets 5th, Warriors 6th. Clippers 4th, are they? Just checking this. Not according. No, they haven't updated it yet. No, you're right. The Clippers are 4th. The Nuggets are 5th. The Warriors are 6th. So right now you'd have Lakers v Warriors, but the Lakers still only a game ahead themselves. So, and they've got a pretty tough schedule, I think. Obviously, got to play the Rockets coming up here. What's the Lakers schedule looking like? A couple of big matchups. Houston Clippers coming up, and then the Thursday, I think, obviously the Warriors play Spurs tomorrow as well, but then a huge matchup on Thursday with the Timberwolves and the Grizzlies as well. Game tomorrow, huge matchup. Lakers-Dallas tomorrow. Luka's return to Dallas. That's going to be massive. Then Houston and Portland to finish off. Now Portland are out of the race. I'm not sure I have too much faith in them, which is also a good thing because the Warriors play them. So hopefully that's a bit of an easier game than it might have otherwise been. But don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. Yeah, Logan says Minnesota and Memphis play each other on Thursday. Don't know who's going to win that now. I think Timberwolves are the better team, but man, after that meltdown, anything could happen. Red Sox says, do you think the Nuggets could catch fire like the Kings did with Doug Christie? Yeah, you kind of always, and I feel like this is a thing in sport in general. It's not just an NBA thing, but firing a coach can light a fire under the team, and they can come out, and even if it's just for a brief stretch for a couple of weeks, they can kind of get that new coach boost. But whether that can happen like this close to the playoffs, maybe that's what the Nuggets, ownership is thinking, is that like maybe we can fire Mike Malone and maybe we get kind of that boost at the right time. I don't know. Like they've got some other issues in terms of Murray's injury status is very concerning for them. Their defense has just been woeful. So I don't know. Logan says Minnesota lost to the Bucks today. Yeah, we went through that. Just a stunning fourth quarter collapse from the Timberwolves. Mr. Level says we need to win all 3 games. Lakers need to lose against the Rockets, Mavs tonight. Yep. That's just what I'm thinking. Like, I'm just thinking of these 3 games from a Warrior perspective. Just win the games, you'll finish top 6, and let yourself finish wherever you finish. Like, whatever matchup you get is whatever matchup you get. Let's just not flirt with the playing tournament. Let's just win all 3 games. Henry said, "Yucks, Clippers 4th. Yeah, Zubac has been balling out from what I've heard. He had like 24 and 20 today. Just wild. Had a huge season." Logan says, "Memphis got Minnesota and Denver next 2 games. That will decide where they finish." I still think Memphis are I know I kind of said every team is kind of like really close at the moment. Obviously, the standings suggest that. I think in terms of the teams, I think Memphis are the worst of the teams. Like, if I had to say who deserves 8th or who's most likely to be 8th, I think it's Memphis. I think they're the worst of the teams. But then the Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, Nuggets, Timberwolves feel like those 5 teams, those 5 teams are just put a blanket over them. Like, anyone could beat anyone. Who knows where it'll finish up? Mr. Level says, "Will Jokic ask for a trade?" I don't know. Kind of hope not. I don't think it'd be fun to watch him with Steph. I don't know. Would the Warriors be interested? They'd have to be. I mean, every team would be interested. It's the best player in the world. Man, put him next to Draymond, cover up a few of the defensive deficiencies. That'd be fun. That'd be so fun. Make it happen, Bob. You'd give up Butler in a heartbeat, wouldn't you? You would. You'd give up Jimmy Butler. That kind of is the matching salary, and then you'd throw in all the picks. Suppose you could include Moody. Pods. They'd probably need pods. You're doing it. You're doing Butler and pods and picks for Jokic. He's the best player in the world. He's like a top 15 player of all time. We're getting into hypotheticals here, though. Miss Level says, "I sent something in the offseason. Getting rid of GM and coaching your playoffs sounds like a Jokic move. Murray contract is a problem." I suppose the biggest interesting thing for me from this is, like, how much did Jokic have a say in it? Because he feels like, to me, just with his personality, that he's like a hands-off guy, like that he's going to be like to ownership. Okay, you just do what you think's best, right? And I'll roll with it. Or is it a case of, like, no, he actually had a fair say in this, where they went to him and asked, like, this, or said, this is what we're doing. What do you think of it? That's kind of what I would like to know. Maybe there's already been some reporting on it that I haven't read, just in regards to how much of a say Jokic had in these decisions. Logan says, "I'd give up whatever they want." Henry says, "I'd give up on our young guys for Joker. It feels wrong, Oh, Henry says, "I don't know to give up on our young guys for Joker. It feels wrong." Man, he's the best player in the world. He doesn't have any real injury history. He's 30, which is like, he's still got another few years to come here. You're just doing it. You're just doing the move, right? And figure it out. It's like Steph, you keep Draymond, Jokic, figure it out. I don't know. Maybe you keep one of Moody or Pods. I don't know. You'd be a pretty big free agency destination in the process as well. I don't care if Kevin Knox is starting at the 3 in that situation. Like, no, I don't know. Like, what do you do with Kuminga in that scenario as a restricted free agent? I don't know. Miss Level says, "How many years will Jokic play?" I've heard people say, like, oh, maybe he'll just, one off season, he'll just, go to Serbia and get back into the horses, and that'll be him done, and he'll retire at a very early age. But I don't know. I always tend to think, and with guys like Jokic, who, and maybe Luka a little bit as well, like these European guys who kind of look fairly laconic and like that don't give too many shits because, like, they're not in the best physical condition. Yes, that might be the case, but I also think, like, to be that good a player, to be the best player in the world, you have to care. Like, let's not pretend this guy, yes, he might have like a hands-off personality, as I said, where it kind of comes across like he doesn't care that much. He flat out cares. Like, there is no way you can get to the top of the sport without having huge dedication to what you're doing. And so, and therefore that's got to come from the love of the game, right? Like, that dedication you put in has to come from the love of the game. So I'm not sure. Like, I think he's a guy that will still be playing for years and years and years. He's not going to just retire one off season, I don't think, and move back to Serbia and train horses and whatnot. Then it says, I feel like if we do that, we're kind of ruining the whole strength in numbers. I get it. He's also the best player in the world. Mr. Level says he might feel his prime is being wasted. Well, the biggest thing for him, I suppose, and I don't want to get too much into the Nugget side of things, but I think the biggest thing for him is looking at a franchise and ownership that clearly just doesn't want to go the extra mile to win. Like the fact they let Bruce Brown walk after the championship, they let KCP walk. Like I think that the money factor and the fact they're not willing to spend huge is probably the biggest argument for Jokic potentially, and I'm not saying he is, but potentially being a little bit unhappy about, his prime years, quote unquote, being wasted. In saying that, they won the title less than 2 years ago. So I'm not sure as the best player you can be that pissed off. Maybe Giannis, who's now 4 years removed from winning the championship, maybe he's in a situation where he could be a bit annoyed about what the Bucks have done since, but Jokic less than 2 years. I'm not sure you can be that annoyed about it, even though some of the roster moves are very questionable. Anyway, I'm going to finish it up there, guys. We've been going for 41 minutes here without an issue, thankfully. How good? Let's hope it continues. I'll be back 24 hours time after the Spurs home game at Chase Center tomorrow. Let's hope for another Warrior victory as they look to push forward and secure a top 6 seed here. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, that would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at POK252. That's POK252 on X/Twitter. You can continue following my daily content on bluemanhoop.com as well. Thanks to all of you that have commented and tuned in. Thanks to those of you that are watching on the live stream or listening via your podcast feed. Hope to see you again in about 24 hours time. Cheers, guys.